What's going on, everyone? So I did two comparisons between the 13 Pro Max when I first got it and the 14 Pro Max. This version was iOS 15.0.1, which was last year. I wanted to do 100% max battery. This was 100% as well. Now it's 95% the 13 Pro Max, so it'd be unfair to compare them now. But this was data on 10/2/2021 when I did this snapshot it's called. This, I captured it on 9/20/22. So I used about the same graph. I actually discharged it. This looks like I discharged at 3 a.m. You can see here. Let me try to zoom in a little better. It gets a little blurry. Yeah, you can see 3 a.m. I discharged at 100%. This one was 6 a.m. I discharged at 100%. But you can see on the 14 Pro Max, I'm going from 6 a.m. to about, I think that was like 8 o'clock p.m. And I'm in the red. I mean, I'm barely making it. This one on the 13 Pro Max, I'm going from, let's see here. So 3 a.m., I did really nothing here. You can see the charger. So 3 a.m. to freaking 10 p.m., I'm still green. I think I was at like 25% left. And my usage is a lot higher than this one on the 14 Pro Max. You can see right here, YouTube. I'm hitting YouTube hard. Both are on Wi-Fi mostly and some 5G. See, I wrote it here. Always on display was disabled. Obviously, you don't have it with the 13 Pro Max. The 14 Pro Max, I had it disabled. Location services disabled as well. Background app refresh was disabled. Wi-Fi, I was using Wi-Fi like half day, 5G LTE half day on both phones. And then mostly used apps, like I said, YouTube, Reddit, Facebook, stuff like that. But you can see from my graph, these are two graphs, I was already in the red. This, I still have plenty of hours to go, even at 10 p.m. This, at 8, I'm done. I'm almost, I forgot, I'll have to look underneath because I took a snapshot of the second graph. But you can see the battery specs as well, I wrote down here. This one, the 13 Pro Max, has a 4,352 milliamp hour battery. And the battery size for this one, the 14 Pro Max, was 4,323 milliamp hours. So they actually decreased the milliamp hour battery, the capacity, on the 14 Pro Max, and the 13 Pro Max actually has the bigger battery size. So that's pretty interesting. But here's my second graph. This actually tells you more than the first. You can see iOS 15 obviously didn't have the battery percentage. This had the battery percentage. So I was at 16% right here. And at the time I was on Wi-Fi on both of them. YouTube, Reddit, Facebook. So it's pretty much similar, the battery. But you can see on the 13 Pro Max, I'm hitting 11 hours, 8 minutes. On the 14 Pro Max, I was hitting 9 hours and 16 minutes screen on. So I was getting a lot better screen on time with the 13 Pro Max as opposed to the 14 Pro Max. Then if you scroll down here, I kind of wrote down off charger. So I wrote down everything. Off the charger, it was 3:41 a.m. on the 13 Pro Max. So I should have got actually more screen on if I unplugged at 6 a.m. like this one. This one was 5:54 a.m., the 14 Pro Max. So on the end of the day, I think I said the 13 Pro Max was at 10 p.m. At 10 p.m., I was at 11, well, you see it right here, 11 hours and 8 minutes screen on time. So that's what I'm getting, and I'm at 24% remaining battery life. So I use 76% of the battery there. On the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which I unplugged later on, I had 16% remaining battery. And my screen on time was only 9 hours and 16 minutes. So I just kind of converted it all to hours screen on time. So, in conclusion, a complete discharge from 100% to 0% in my testing, this is my testing with YouTube, Reddit, social media, Facebook messages, I'm getting more screen on time and more hours standby on the 13 Pro Max over the 14 Pro Max. The 13 Pro Max, I would get 25 hours standby, like until it died from 100 to 0%. And with this test, I would have 14.65 hours screen on time. That is crazy on the 13 Pro Max. With the 14 Pro Max, the complete discharge from 100% to 0% would be 16.67 hours. So all in all, I would get 11.03 hours screen on time with the 14 Pro Max. So in actuality, I'm losing like 3 hours screen on time, which is kind of big. Not many people probably upgraded from the 13 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max. So if you did, you're not going to get any benefits with battery life. I'm not. And unless you're on Wi-Fi. If you're completely on Wi-Fi, you'll do all right. But if you're on 5G LTE, with your carrier, I got T-Mobile, I'm getting so much less screen on time. It's insane. But that's why I returned this phone. This is my first iPhone I've ever returned in my life, the 14 Pro Max, and I kept my 13 Pro Max just because of this. I usually buy the biggest and the best. I want the biggest. With phones, I want the best battery life, I want the best camera, and I want the best speed. Those three things. And this battery life is missing, in my opinion. I don't know if it's the dynamic island. And I went back to the 13 Pro Max today, and I'm actually doing awesome, screen on time. Right now, I'm sitting at 65%. With the 14 Pro Max, I'd be sitting at, I think it was like about, right now it's like 3 o'clock. So I'd be like at 40% or 50%. It's a lot different going from those two. But I could see people like going from, the iPhone XR, which is the 10R, or the iPhone 10, and saying how great it is, but it's not great if you're going from the 13 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max. As you can see, I'm losing screen on time. I just wanted to compare the two graphs to show you guys what I was missing and what I was and why I returned the 14 Pro Max and why I kept the 13 Pro Max. The only difference too that I'm seeing between the two, the speeds are the same, it seems, with that, the processor that they have, the 16 versus the 15. But so I'm pretty disappointed with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I had it a week. Like I said, I think I used it 5 or 6 days total. And I just wanted to show you guys this graph. I thought it would be great going side by side like this. Unfortunately, I didn't, discharge at the same time. I wish I did, but I had this at 100%, the 13 Pro Max, a year ago. And this was obviously at 100%, the 14 Pro Max. So I wish I discharged it at the same time. I'd probably get better screen on time with the 13 Pro Max if I discharged at 6 a.m. like I did with that. But yeah, it was an interesting test though. I just wanted to see the comparison, direct comparison. Nobody makes charts like this showing it. I didn't make it. I snapshotted it on my phone. Screenshot, it's called. And I just wanted to see which is better. And Apple claims you get 1 hour better battery life out of the 14 Pro Max. I'm not seeing that unless you're on Wi-Fi. That's the only way. But I'm not getting it. And they said don't worry about the battery. And actually, when I returned it yesterday, the Apple store, they actually gave me a full refund. They didn't give me a hassle. They asked me why I returned it. I was the only person they said so far to return it. But I said the battery life, it's been terrible for me. So I'd like to know your guys, how you guys, if you have an iPhone 14 Pro Max, how the battery life has been for you guys. you guys. And does it compare to the 13 Pro Max? I don't know if you had the 13 Pro Max before. Yeah, so I'd like to know what you guys think. It took me a while to make these graphs and the charts and stuff. So let me know what you guys think, and if you're getting worse battery life like I am on the 14 Pro Max. And I do not regret returning my iPhone 14 Pro Max. I don't think it's going to get better with iOS 16. A lot of people are saying it's indexing. I don't think so. Maybe you'll get like an hour better, not something like that, but I don't think it's going to beat the king, the 13 Pro Max. That's still the king. They put a bigger battery size into that, so. All right, guys. Yeah, I just want to kind of rant and show you my graphs. Hope you enjoyed. I don't think I'm going to make a shorts on this. I just think it's a cool long video, you know. But, all right, guys. Yeah, hopefully you guys are subscribed, and hopefully you like this video. Thumbs up would be appreciated for sure. And take care. Let me know if you have any questions too. I'm good at, replying.